So here's what I got for you today. It is quite a doozy. Donald Trump is threatening to bomb the out of another one of our allies again. He said that, not me. And since it's always Groundhog Day with him, he's also asking the Supreme Court to help him get out of paying Carroll again. We also have some updates on Jared Kushner's meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, Luigi Mangione's strategic guilty plea, food recalls, and vaccination rates. A hint, they're lower. And an arrest warrant out for Jill Stein. I'm Sammy Sage, and this is the Morning Announcements, your daily 10-minute rundown of current events and the best way to always know what the is going on. Checking the news is bad for your health, and with me, you only have to do it once. The president was really on one yesterday. He had one of those crazy armchair meetings with this person. What in the Hitler Youth? And America has a new enemy, apparently, as Donald Trump is now threatening our long-standing ally, Oman, saying, quote, "We will bomb the shit out of them if they get in the way of..." Honestly, it's unclear. This is happening in the context of the 60-day fake ceasefire with Iran that is fake expiring. And Donald Trump told Fox News that Iran should, quote, "raise the white flag of surrender over the Strait of Hormuz." I'll let them explain it.
The president told Fox News Iran should raise the white flag of surrender. He went on to say, "I have no time schedule. I'm not in a hurry." The president indicating that the U.S. naval blockade is continuing to put new economic pressure on the Iranian regime, despite what the Iranians have said publicly. He said they're good poker players, but they're dying, and that the midterms in the United States have nothing to do with the president's thinking. Now, I asked the president about these parallel talks that are taking place between Iran and Oman about control of the Strait of Hormuz. And the president told Fox News, if Oman gets in the way, we'll bomb the S out of them.
Of course, Donald hates that he has no leverage there. A few hours after that initial threat, he was asked by reporters at his weird armchair meeting why he's threatening Oman.
I don't think they behave very well, but we'd handle them very easily, just like we do other things.
Even Fox News is extremely confused.
What's Oman been doing wrong? They were trying to engage in negotiations with Iran on the Strait of Hormuz. Apparently, they made their case. Then they turned it over to the U.S. and Iran and just been sitting on the sidelines ever since.
John, I don't see Oman doing anything that would make them complicit in supporting the Iranian regime. And I would rather the administration focuses on fulfilling the threats they've made to the regime. As an example, in the last few days, 3 tankers have been struck in the Strait of Hormuz. The administration has said there would be a strong U.S. response if that happened. And our credibility is on the line every time we don't follow through on those threats. And I'd rather we focus on that instead of making new threats to Oman.
That was hardly the worst he said yesterday.
Look at him. He's saying, where do people like this come from? Your son is saying, where do people like this come from? Go ahead.
The people who are opposing,
Especially her.
The people who are opposing the ballroom and challenging it, have they offered any sort of solution or sort of compromise, or do they just say there's no hole there?
The people that are opposing the ballroom are people that, in my opinion, are very disloyal to our country, very, very disloyal to our country. And I think we're doing very well. We're way ahead of schedule. We're under budget. It's going to be the most beautiful ballroom of its kind.
Why hasn't Kim Jong-un responded to your request to have a conversation?
How do you know he hasn't responded?
Has he?
Yeah, he has. Quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay? Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news. You're
just wanted
fake
to follow
news.
up on this
You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news.
I was
Be
trying
quiet.
to find out
Be
if you
quiet.
had been talking
Be
to Kim
quiet.
Jong-un, if he had asked you
You're a
to
fake
scale back
reporter, and you
all
report
the
fake
military
news.
exercises.
Go ahead.
Is there enough food on the USS Lincoln?
Yeah, it is. That was a CNN fake report. The Lincoln has been out there for a period of time, good period of time, but over the years we've had him out there much longer.
I'd love to see him last 3 hours on the USS Abraham Lincoln. Look at his shitting situation even when there's a working bathroom nearby at all times. I think we just have to acknowledge that he's very embarrassed about the situation with the USS Abraham Lincoln. And now that the ship has to be relieved by another aircraft carrier, that one's coming from the South China Sea, which leaves a complete wide opening for China to attack Taiwan. So to recap, our ally Oman, maybe not. The Strait of Hormuz, closed. Taiwan, potentially screwed. Jared Kushner and Benjamin Netanyahu met for several hours yesterday, and the riveting conclusion that they reportedly reached is that Gaza's demilitarization should start with a weapons handover by Hamas that's overseen by an American military general. and that no reconstruction of Gaza can start before Hamas is disarmed. Groundbreaking. Netanyahu also reportedly said that the IDF will not redeploy to Gaza, and he agreed to establish 2 working groups, one that focuses on disarmament and demilitarization, and another that works on sanitation, clean water, and other public health issues in the Strip. By the way, Netanyahu is up for re-election in October, and he is not doing so great. So right now I'm viewing all of his actions through that lens. Today in things we maybe can't eat anymore. Almost 20 million eggs were recalled in July over salmonella concerns, which have been given a Class 1 designation by the FDA. That is the highest risk designation, meaning that eating salmonella-infected eggs could cause, quote, serious adverse health consequences or death. Okay, or death. The eggs in question were manufactured by Midwest Poultry Services and were sold under several brand names at grocery stores across 4 states. But it's not just the eggs. There have also been limited recalls of jalapeno peppers, potato chips, frozen pizza, dog food, and now a granola brand sold on Amazon that's recalling their products. The FDA announced that Lacnola lactation granola's recall has been initiated over an ingredient called moringa powder, a product which has also seen several recalls this year. You can attempt to keep up with all those recalls on fda.gov, recalls.gov, or foodsafety.gov. Maybe Ballerina Farm had it right. Grow all your own food with a full staff that you can pay for with your husband's family's money. That's the way you got to do it. On an unfortunately related note, the CDC reported yesterday that vaccination rates among American kindergartners declined for the 2025-26 school year for all tracked vaccines, while exemption rates increased in 41 states and Washington, D.C., from 3.6% last year to 4.2% this year. 24 states reported exemption rates over 5%, and there was an overall 0.1% decline in vaccination coverage among all children entering kindergarten. And while that may not sound like a lot, I think about this like climate change degrees. Tiny increases cause bigger problems than you think, because it only takes a small drop in vaccination rates to make herd immunity plummet, particularly against measles, which just so happens to screw up your immunity for life, which is why it was such a victory when we eradicated it. Google is acquiring all of Spirit Airlines' emails, documents, calendars, chats, spreadsheets, and other business data to train its AI models. They're getting all of this for $10 million because they won a bankruptcy auction. Don't worry, they are not getting passenger profiles or frequent flyer information, and all of the information will be de-identified before Google gets access to the 100 million emails and 500 million Teams chats in the deal. Imagine paying actual money for a Microsoft Teams chat. Donald Trump is still trying to find a way to get out of paying E. Jean Carroll $5 million in damages for sexually assaulting her. And yesterday, the Supreme Court again said no. They didn't even make a big thing about it. They simply denied Trump's request to reconsider the decision that they already made to let the court's judgment from 2023 stand. And in case you're worried that this might be the last time you hear about this, it won't be. Trump also owes E. Jean Carroll another $83 million in damages for defaming her when he lied about sexually assaulting her. And he has another request in with the Supreme Court to separately overturn that verdict. He submitted that last month, though the Supremes have not weighed in yet. Guess they're making him sweat it out. I have a few more courtroom updates for you. Just as we suspected, Luigi Mangione's state murder trial, which was supposed to start on September 8th, has been postponed indefinitely because his attorneys are trying to get his case thrown out on double jeopardy grounds, since he pled guilty to those 2 federal charges on Friday. The next hearing to figure out what will happen is December 10th, which is a week before Luigi's sentencing for the 2 charges he just pled guilty to. And federal prosecutors say they're trying to get him sentenced to life in prison, even though sentencing guidelines only call for 24 to 30 years. Really going to overreach that far? Never mind, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know anything. This is really one of my favorite stories. An arrest warrant was issued for Jill Stein yesterday by a judge in St. Louis, Missouri, after both she and her attorney skipped a hearing related to misdemeanor charges against Jill for allegedly assaulting a cop at a Gaza protest back in 2024. Jill Stein was accused of kicking a police officer multiple times and grabbing another officer's bicycle, and she was charged with assault and trespassing. Of course she didn't show up to the hearing. Jill Stein only takes a corporeal form during election years. She physically can't show up in the year 2026. And by the way, polls are open today in Alaska and Florida for primary elections for governor, Senate, and House seats. In Florida, this is the first election under the state's new Republican-favored electoral map. And you will never guess who voted by mail in Florida in these primaries. Fine, I'll tell you. It was the president.